before joining even army or even thinking of being in the creative field, I felt that the creativity is the essence of human evolution. It is the essence of human evolution, creativity in all forms.
Wow.
Creativity in your expression, creativity in your emotion, and creativity in your work.
Welcome, Mr. Ashok Kaul, to the Real Voice podcast. It is a pleasure to have someone who had such a unique and colorful journey and background, going from being a major in the army to a filmmaker. And I have to start off this interview by asking, what made you want to be a part of the army at the time that you signed up?
Firstly, let me thank you, Krishna, for inviting me on this to have a talk with you.
The pleasure is all ours.
Thank you. That's wonderful. Right from my college days, just wanted to wear a uniform and fight for the integrity and honor of my country, defend the land of my country and my forefathers. That was the inspiration I always had while I was a college student. Of course, there are many things in my journey which I think once we talk, I'll be able to express. But this was a passion to be in uniform, and I was able to achieve that. That was something very, very positive in my life, that I achieved what I thought, to be in uniform one day.
And what would you say was a catalyst that started off that, sentiment of wanting to defend your country and your nation when you were in college?
In 1964, I had the honor of leading my NCC contingent in 1964 Republic Day. Right?
Yeah.
So that kind of inspiration, it increased day by day to be part of the uniform, because I realized that that the kind of character that we find in the people in uniform was very unique. They're very straight. And I realized that you give your life for your country, and you realize that, that you don't think of anything but your country. And that's what made me to join the Indian Army. Perhaps that kind of, at that age, was a passion, and that was the inspiring factor for me to be part of the uniform. And I was able to get selected and become an officer of the Indian Army.
So as a person, you seem to have consistently followed your passions from the army then to being a filmmaker. Please tell me about that journey.
Well, my journey from the army to a filmmaker has been a very unique journey. Let me tell you very frankly. In college days, I used to be part of my college dramatics. I was a secretary of dramatic club of my college, and we used to do a lot of plays and just be inter-university and all those kind of things. And I remember one of the plays which I think 66 or no, it was 66, 67. In Tagore Theatre, Chandigarh, we did a play in inter-university competition. And I was one of the actors in that play, and I think that time Chetananand had come to see that final competition and all that. We won the trophy. And I got the State Talent Award in that. I remember Chetan Saab coming up the stage and telling me, why don't you come to Bombay and explore yourself in the field of creativity in the cinema? I said, no, sir. I have decided to join Indian Army. Creativity is just my hobby. And that hobby has given me the opportunity to express myself, but my passion is to be in the uniform. I had decided to be part of the Indian Army. He smiled back and walked away. Well, that was one. And then my I had the honor of fighting 71 war. In the 71 war in army, my battalion was posted I was part of my battalion. We were in Uri. And Uri, which was hot sector in 1971 war. And our battalion did exceptionally well in there. And we captured something called a post called Khamoshi there, which was a great thing for us to achieve. And I was a young captain in that time and adjutant of the battalion. I had no responsibilities. So after that, my battalion moved up from there, and I was picked up by the brigade commander to be part of the same brigade. That was something very unique, that after spending almost about 3.5 years in the field area, I was again picked up to be part of in the same field area. So I liked it because firstly Kashmir, and secondly, as a young man, I felt that yes, I'm again on the borders of J&K. So, and after the war, it was something which always, I used to write a lot those days. I realized one point, what gives a strength to a young man to give life for the country? What is that? Well, I wrote a fiction. And I was writing that, and by the time I was in the brigade quarters, and you said how I came from the army to the films. I one day got a knock on my office door, and my Johnny said, I was that time only officer there, rest of the officers had gone in the forward areas, and Raj Kapoor has come. I couldn't understand on the borders. That time, and I said, okay, wait, I am doing something, I'll call you. I'll just wait for a while. And after that, there was a knock again. So after about 5 minutes, and I saw Mr. Raj Kapoor requesting, can I come in? I got up and received him, and with a great respect, made him to sit and all that. After that, he told me, look, I have come all the way from Bombay just to visit that area where there's a bridge, and those days the UN officers used to cross that bridge. That was known as command post those days. आज उसका नाम अमन सेतु है. Those days command post. Now, I was the only officer. Normally would have given permission, but then I thought that he's a celebrity, and my seniors were not there. I was a young captain. The brigade commander was not there. So I went to next office, not telling him that that I'm checking up with my seniors. That ego. I talked to the higher formation. I said, so and so has come, and what do I do? So I was told, all right, now that he has come, detail an officer to go with him. I said, oh, there's no officer available. Then they said, all right, you go with him, and then you show him the place. Now he has come all the way. So I took him in my jonga. Normally I used to drive fast, and I used to be always getting, all the hammerage from the big things from the army that our seniors say, don't drive fast and all those kind of. I drove more fast that day just to impress him. He was looking around, looking for me, those zigzag roads in Kashmir, and finally we reached that post and all that. And he saw I stood there on vantage point, and the Pakistanis could see from that side, other side, and they started waving at him. They realized from binocular, oh, Raj Kapoor has come and all that kind of thing. So that time he was planning to make something on India and Pak and all that kind of thing. And then we came back, and then he said, I took him to my officer's messes. By the time the other officers also had come, and we offered him something. We offered him, can you like to have some drink? He says, agar aapne mujhe pinana shuru kar diya, to it'll be whole night, so better give me some tea, coffee. So he had some tea and all that. After that, one of the officers, told him that, look, he said, I'm looking for something for the army, and I want to do something, a film. One of the officers said, he's writing something, a book on fiction. So I gave him an idea. He tried to take out some money and give to me. This idea is mine. I said, I'm sorry, sir, I can't take money from you. And I can't give you this idea because this book has not been, my thought yet has not been cleared by the army headquarters. So so that was my connection with him. It was somewhere in 1974, 75. And after that, whenever I used to come to Bombay, I used to meet him and all that kind of thing. So my connection with him, became deeper and all that. Then he announced this film, did Muhurat of 3 films. One was Param, Chakra, BV and Prem Rok. 3 Muhurats were done by Raj Kapoor. That time I was not there. I was in the army still. Raj Kapoor was to direct Param Chakra, and other directors were doing the other 2 films. And he initiated a letter with the Defense Ministry. Since I am the thought and script writer of the film, I should be, he requested that I should be there with him as a consultant. Well, after that, he traveled quite a few times to Delhi for various permissions. Somehow the film did not take off. I think that time even Anil Kapoor was, I think that was going to be his debut film. And I'm sure one day, I know it's not sure, I'm right. He one day went to NDA to get his haircut and try and get in the uniform to impress Raj Kapoor and all that kind of thing. Because the film is from NDA to the war.
Right.
So after that, the film did not take forward and things got stalled and all that. Then after, in about 82 or 83, somehow my connection with Raj Kapoor was still there, and I became part of the RK Studios. And I took PMR, and after that, I headed RK Studios. And Ram Teri Ganga Valley was made under me as a controller of the production of the film. I headed the production of the film. And that's how my journey in the making of film started. And coming straight from uniform to a filmmaker, that to a top filmmaker, one of the top filmmaker of India and one of the very recognized filmmaker of the world, to head RK Studio was not something very easy. But I think the army gave me that kind of organizational skills to adapt to any new situation. And then my creative background helped me, to do my best and whatever I could contribute in the making of Ram Teri Ganga Valley. Well, that's what that was a transformation from the uniform to a filmmaker.
That is such an epic transformation. And it's so interesting how something that started out, as you said, as a hobby turned into a career. And I'm so curious to know how you got started with this hobby. How did creativity become, an outlet for you?
Krishna, I'll tell you one thing. As a young boy, I always used to discover many things. In fact, before joining even army or even thinking of being in the creative field, I wanted to be a monk. As a young boy, as college, just before the college, I felt that the creativity is the essence of human evolution. It is the essence of human evolution. Creativity in all forms.
Wow.
Creativity in your expression, creativity in your emotion, and creativity in your work. Creativity is a big horizon of which has not been yet discovered by humans. This is what I feel. I may be wrong. In a right way. Still we have to discover what really the creativity means. It's a huge horizon. So maybe from the childhood, then being part of the college dramatics, and then constantly thinking about human relationships, from thinking of becoming a monk to a college creative, being in the college, I would say the dramatic club to army journey is something which I myself do not know how it happened. I still have not discovered that myself. I have not still discovered. I still feel I yet to discover my own self. I don't know. This is what I don't know about others, but I still have not discovered myself. And then I feel in the journey of life, I don't know what is the next. And that always remains a question mark in terms of human journey, in terms of human emotion, in terms of human expression. What next? I have still not been able to understand myself.
But your films, like you said, explore human relationships, and not necessarily with other human beings, but with ideals and values, and even I'd love to dig a little deeper into how you explored human relationships in your films.
Krishna, I like to tell you, firstly, your name is Krishna. Krishna is the essence of discovery of the human relationships. Is the essence. I'm not talking in terms of religion now. If you go deep in the philosophy of Krishna, you realize there's nothing else discovering human relationships at each stage of whether war, whether without war, one. And I have the great honor and pleasure speaking to you. Now I'll tell you one thing. While I don't believe in giving artificial things in terms of expression of human relationships. After Raj, I'll tell you a small example, what I learned from Raj Kapoor, which should be, again, a lot of things I've learned from him only, of course. After completing Ram Teri Ka Meri, he had two things in his mind. One was to Param Chakra and also Henna. Henna, again, was same thought when I took him on the border of Indo-Pak. And that's, of course, a different story altogether, how I expressed him a small story there, which was published, Khoon Ka Rang Ek Lal Hai, that also dealt with the same kind of thing. That if I go into that, there's an endless story, so I'll not go in that much there. So after super duper hit of Ram Teri Ganga Maili, we announced Henna. And we started recording the music and all that. Again, Ravinder Jain was the music director and all that. And one day Raj Saab said, let's go to Kashmir and we have to do a bit of research on the Gujars, because the film was dealing with the Gujar family. And also, I will do some music sitting there in Kashmir. So Ravinder Jain, Raj Saab and myself, we went to Kashmir. We stayed at Hotel Centaur. There was those days, which was really alongside the Dal Lake. So I used to go and meet these Gujar families. And one day I went, and from the remote corners of Kashmir, I got a Gujar family to come and stay with us in the Centaur Hotel, so that Raj Kapoor could interact with them. And Raj Saab was very happy on this and all the kind of thing happening, research happening. And Ravinder Jain used to ask me every day, when are we doing the music sitting? I said, yeah, I asked Raj Saab. And finally, one day he said, please, bahut din ho gaye, a lot of days have happened. Please ask Raj Saab, when should we do sitting? I have made some, basic songs and all that kind of thing. So, suddenly Raj Saab told me, day after we're going back. So, then in the evening, I told Ravinder Jain ji, we used to call him Dadu. I said, Dadu, parsu wapas, are we going day after back? He said, music sitting to we didn't sit for the music. So in the evening, Raj Saab, Dadu and myself, we were together having dinner, and Dadu said, Raj Saab, music sitting to ki nahi, we did not do any music sitting. He said, I had not got you here to do music sitting. I just wanted you to explore the music in the इन कश्मीर की हवाओं में और कश्मीर की फिजाओं में मैं आपको म्यूजिक ढूंढने के लिए लाया था. आपको मिला? डू यू फाइंड? इस कश्मीर की हवाओं में म्यूजिक है. यहाँ के हर 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 एक एंगल से आपको नजर आएगा म्यूजिक. डिड यू डिस्कवर? आई वॉन्ट द रियल म्यूजिक ऑफ कश्मीर. दैट्स व्हाई आई गॉट हियर. I could see a very, very positive expression on the face of even Ravinder Jainji, late Ravinder Jain, very great music director. Could feel, he says, Raj Saab, you're right. ठीक कह रहे हैं आप. मैंने यहाँ की फिजाओं में बहुत कुछ देखा. हर धुन सुनी है यहाँ. And we came back. Recorded a couple of songs, and then, of course, very painful to see that Raj Saab left us all, and while receiving Dada Sahib Phalke Award in Delhi from the President of India. So, Hina, only couple of songs were recorded by Raj Kapoor, and after he passed away, so it was Ranbir Kapoor. We motivated him, and he took on the film, and he started directing the film, and we could complete Henna. In that also, Henna was a very different kind of film, showing a very different kind of relationship between two countries, Pakistan and India, connecting the two nations through love. Well, Henna was also a successful film, and after that, I one day approached Ranbir Kapoor ji. I said, Dabu Saab, I want to, why not to make Param Chakra? He said, no, yeah, that's a war film, and I would not like it. I said, that's the only film which is left. Raj Kapoor ji wanted to make this film. Raj Saab wanted to make this film. And he said, no, yeah, war film, not my genre. I said, can I make? He looked at me. He said, do you want to make a war film as your debut film? I said, yes. And I announced that I'm making a film. Not knowing from where I'll get money, how I'll make the film, I do not know. But that, I think, what I'm trying to tell you is that strength within positive vibrations inside laid a foundation for the film to start. It took me about 3 years to make the film because I shot with actual locations. Firstly, it's very difficult to get permission. I don't want to go in those details. There are a lot of things, in that kind of thing. Finally, I was managed to get the permission from the government of India. And this was based on 71 war. Again, a different kind of human relationship you're talking of. Same thought, that what gives a young man his strength, the strength within to give his life for the country. So it was a story of 3 young cadets from NDA, best friends of India. One is from the army, one is from Navy, and one is from the Air Force. Their journey, firstly their love journey, and their journey from the National Defense Academy to war. Well, I had difficulties in making the film, first film, no doubt. Financial difficulties, other things and all that kind of. But finally, I was able to make it. And what happened? I had sometimes, the cosmos helps you. I think the first time ever it has happened that the music of the film is released by the President of India and the Rashtrapati Bhavan.
Wow.
Music of Param Chakra was released by Dr. Shankar Dayal Sharma in Rashtrapati Bhavan.
That must have been an incredible feeling.
It was, I don't know from where it happened, how it happened. That's why I said, certain things cannot be predicted. I went, and I was with me was Ravinder Jain, and the person who released the music of the film, and he released the film cassette. And then the film was got released all over India. It did reasonably well. It was a different kind of film, real authentic war. It was not one of those things which you would say that created for the cinema. We shot in actual locations. Right. Good actors were there. I had 3 young boys, whom I picked up because that time there were a lot of people wanting to make Shah Rukh Khan also was there. But I remember, but I wanted a absolute crew cut. Those days, even the actors didn't want to do that kind of crew cut and all that kind of thing. So I picked up 3 new boys. Sent them to NDA for training first. I got the permission.
Really?
Yes. For some 1 month, they were attached there to understand entire way and other things and all that.
Yeah.
1 month. And then I had to do a lot of auditions for that to get the right kind of characters. And then I started the film. And I had those 3 boys. Then Hema Malini was there, Kulbhushan Karmanda, Raza Murad, Saeed Jafri played, and Naveen Nishchal was there. And there were a lot of big actors in the film. In fact, Saeed Jafri played the captain of Vikrant. I shot mid-sea the entire sequence of Vikrant, and also a sequence where we attacked Karachi port during 71 war. Authentic. Nothing, tried to be the typical filmy way. Later on, of course, a lot of people realize that authentic portrayal of the action is very important. So film did well. And,
What was the answer to that question that the film was trying to share with an audience, which was, what is it that gives young people the courage to risk their lives for their country? What was the answer to that?
I'll tell you, yes, there was an answer. I don't know whether I have still those letters. There are a lot of letters came to me from young girls. We've decided to marry an army officer after seeing your film.
Really?
I mean it.
That's incredible.
We that was something which is a fact.
Yeah.
And I got letters that we would like to join the. In fact, now somebody has put in YouTube, I think, a bad print of my film. I was going through the comments. One of the persons is writing, I saw this film and I am shown to my son also of this film. That kind of thing. I want to show him. They motivated. That a lot of comments came. And then second part was that it was again, after the film was released, was a lot of school, they hired the halls and showed this film to the young students, hiring the entire hall and all that after it was released. And I really felt in the end they really were charged with the climax of the film. You see, what gives you the strength to be proud of your nation is something in everybody within, but they have to give you the right direction. Every youth who has love for the country is a soldier by itself, while wherever he is in the country. That positivity has to come and reflect. And that's what it reflected in the film. It's not necessary to be only in uniform that you risk you give something for your country. You can be anywhere. If you feel that you are the soldier of the proud nation, you can be anywhere. That's what I wanted to portray in that film. And, well, God was kind, and I was able to convey that. I did not make it from the point of view of the box office. Well, music was good. Mr. Ravinder Jain, Dadu, had made a beautiful music of the film. Very nice songs. And, well, I was able to convey what I must have dreamt sometime when I was after the war, what I was writing. That thing unleashing into on this screen was something great for me. That also was something great.
Do you feel like your writing, especially when you were in the army and you were on the front lines of war, do you feel like writing helped you as a major in the army?
Krishna, what happens is, what is writing? Writing is when you pen down something which is hovering on your mind. Multiple thoughts come in your mind every day. You don't write it. But something which always hovers in your mind, you want to put in writing. Some people avoid, some people think that I should put it, not with the purpose of showing that, look, I'm a great writer and all those kind of. Penning down your thoughts which hammer in your mind, you are doing good because those thoughts, positive, if they're positive thought, lay a foundation of a positive environment. I've always believed that writing and thinking are two energies which generate the energy that you try and unleash. Right now we are talking to each other. It will also generate an energy. And that when our conversation is seen by people, it also will generate an energy in them. So I always felt that every word, हमारे बहुत बड़ी, मैं आपको छोटी सी बात बताता हूँ उसके बारे में, give you a small incident. I'm going forward in time because when I was making another film, which we'll discuss later, that time Kargil war happened. And Honorable Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji was the Prime Minister of that time. I sometimes used to pen down here and there little poetry and all that. I wrote a small little few lines and I sent it to Atalji, to the Prime Minister of India. After about a week, I get a letter which I still have with me from the Prime Minister of India, signed by himself, receiving my poem. And then I got a call from one of his PS, I think his personal secretary, that Prime Minister has really liked your lines and he sent a letter. You received it? He said, yes, I have received it. When he visits Bombay, he may come and see where you're making a film. Where at that time I was making a different film, which we'll talk. I said, he himself is a great poet. And I am not a poet. I just tried to put some lines together and I sent him. After that, on his birthday, next year on his birthday, I get an invitation from the Prime Minister of India to come and meet him on his birthday. It was something which I couldn't believe. So what I did is I created the same poem in the form of a little bit of created characters and all that, made a small little book and presented him on his birthday. You know what he said? He said, पहले तो he told his daughter, कौल साहब के लिए वही खीर लेके आओ जो मेरे लिए आई है. I had that kheer. After that, what he said, I was puzzled that such a great poet is invited me for my few lines which I wrote for her. He says, should I tell you something? शब्दों में शक्ति होती है, इसीलिए आप यहाँ हैं.
Do you remember what those words were?
Yes. I still have that small little book. I made a couple of books out of that poem and put some photographs while giving him and what conversation we had together and all that. So a person of his caliber, the one word he spoke everything. Shabdon mein shakti. I realized that this has been my journey, thought and what you speak. What you think, what you speak is the most important factor in the journey of humans. So that's something, we came out off the cuff. You asked me about two other things.
If you don't mind sharing, what were those words that the poem...
एक लाइन बताता हूँ.
Yes,
मैं अटल
please.
था, अकेला था जब आकाश वेग में था. मैं खड़ा किनारे पे था जब लहरों में तांडव था. मैं खड़ा चट्टान पे था जब हवाओं में तूफान था. Mind you.
Do you remember the inspiration behind writing those lines to
It
him?
was the Kargil war.
The war.
That I wanted to give that the way he stood behind the Kargil war, Atal ji, कि that हवाओं में तूफान था, मैंने कड़कती बिजलियों में रोशनी देखी.
So you have clearly a very spiritual connection to the work that you did in the army as well as a writer, as a filmmaker. You are a spiritual person.
Yes.
And the things that you have written have been an extension of yourself and your thoughts and ideals. And I would love to know, out of all the movies that you have written for and you've written about, which movie do you feel speaks to you or has really, still holds a place in your heart and mind?
All. But one thing I'll tell you, my next film, you know what happened when Param Chakra was released? It was invited by American Cancer Society for fundraising in America. And they invited, there's an organization called QCGC, Queen Child Guidance Center. And that's in America, that's a New York-based an organization. They invited and they joined hands with the American Cancer Society. They said, patriotic film will attract a lot of Indians there, so they could generate funds. So, Hema Malini and myself were invited. I was a producer director of the film, and Hema ji had acted in my film. So we both were invited, and it was the first day when it was screened there. After that, I was invited by John Canemaker. That time he was heading the TIS Film School. He's an Academy Award winner himself. Talking of 96. And there he wanted me to interact with the students there. So I interacted and with a lot of American students and all from all parts of the world they were. So after interacting them about the various aspects of filmmaking and all that, generally what you talk as a filmmaker to the students there. One student got up. He said, India makes 1,000 films every year. Why so far one animation film has not been made? You said that Indian filmmakers are very creative. Why so far one animation film has not been made? My reply was, I'll make one. Krishna, do you believe I didn't know the spellings of animation? Leave aside animation. Fact.
I don't believe that, seeing as you were a writer.
No, I'm just telling you the sense that not spelling in terms of that. I didn't know the nuances of the film,
right?
Of the animation. So, came back. There were claps. Another question asked was that if this is the animation, what kind of animation will you think? Will you make like like the normal Disney characters? I said no. If I make this film, which I will be the rich cultural and historical background of India. Well, there was silence for some time, then there were claps. That hammered my mind. That what resulted that they felt that I'm not going to copy typical kind of characters the Disney has those days, Lion King and all those kind of characters, other characters. Came back. Then I had the honor of meeting various people. Those days, my Param Chakra had done well, so to meet him. And then I met Mr. Subhash Chandra Z, and I told him this instance, so let's make one. And there was no animation culture in that time, 96, 97, there was no animation culture.
Right.
And only those days, film division had made a couple of seconds film, Chidiya, Udiya, that kind of things were made. And to make a feature film in animation was not something very... We explored a lot of things. We set up a Z Institute of Creative Arts. We thought, let's teach the animation to students. And then we'll select. Meanwhile, since we were getting delayed, so I went to, the Walt Disney to explore the cost of animation there. DreamWorks, I went, met people there and all that kind of... The cost of animation was so much that time that it was not possible to, contain it, spend that kind of money in India on a filmmaking. $30, $50, $60 million. cost of animation.
Wow.
This kind of budgets were there. Could be. So came back. So we carried on with this process of teaching these people for 3.5 years. There was the Institute of Creative Arts. Initially it was in Hyderabad, then we shifted in Bombay. We set up here in the Hasselwald Film Studio. And out of that, I selected 160 people. The 160 people became part of decided to make the film. And I somehow felt that let's make live an animation film. In unleashing the story, and let me tell you, Krishna, very, very clearly, I wrote the script. I don't know from where the thoughts were coming. Making India's first film, and that too making a film with this kind of genre, live and animation. First time, the storytelling, is both in terms of animation and live action. First time.
Yeah.
Again, I would say spirituality came. Thought was based on a shloka of Gita, chapter 2, verse 12, and Einstein theory of relativity.
What was the verse?
That you were always there, you will always be there in the journey in the universe. You can read that. I'm you the essence of that. And that means the past and present runs parallel. You've always existed. You will always be existing is the thought of that shloka. So the live action part was 1 hour and 10 minutes where Tabu, Milind Soman and other actors playing real like film. And 1 hour and 30 minutes was animation. Animation was the Golconda story of Mohammad Quli Qutub and Bhagmati's love, and live action was today. So it was a past and present running parallel. In fact, in that we had a good music. Vishal Bhardwaj gave a good music. In fact, we have recorded one Shiv Tandav in the film. So the point was, the film got released. It was shown in Cannes Film Festival, but I wouldn't say that it did not receive a very thumbs up sort of thing from audience, because firstly people could not understand live and animation coming. 2005 we got it. Just even before Avatar it came. In fact, later on, whatever I have said in the film has come true. How did it come? I do not know.
Like what?
I had shown there's a last visual of the film where I have shown the black hole, which we created visually, is there. And then there's a song where I make these, the two people in love to travel through the entire universe. They land on each planet. But Mars, when they land, I showed reflection of water. That time nobody could believe that there be water would be, on the Mars. Now 3 years back, they have realized that there is evidence of water on the Mars, which that has been done that time. How did it happen? I didn't know. I was just imagining. It was also seen internationally. I was invited to deliver a lecture on this film in Indonesia, Islamic Center, where Ayatollah Adawi and all they had also come here. They had seen the film. They also delivered a lecture in various aspects. So I also talked about how the basic bond of every human is love, and something which is the strength of human is the love, and past and present runs parallel. एक लास्ट की लाइन सुनाता हूँ उसके लिए, which will give you what film is all about. जन्मांतर के कालांतर में मृत्यु तो केवल मध्यांतर है. जो जीवन हम जी लेते हैं जीवित उसका एक एक पल है. बीता कल भी आज कभी था, आज ही आने वाला कल है. पुनर्जन्म भी क्या है लेकिन जीवात्मा का स्थानांतर है. इसी तर्क से शिवरंजनी भी भागमती का रूपांतर है. नश्वर जग है, प्रेम अमर है, प्रेम से ही है जीवन महान. प्रेम में भूत भविष्य न कुछ भी, प्रेम तो केवल वर्तमान है. Love is the bond of humans. That was the film.
Wow. Do you feel like we need more people to feel that way today?
Well, that's a great statement made by you. Yes. Love is the only bond. वहां पर एक हमारा गाना भी है जिसमें मैंने लव बोला, प्लैनेट्स भी प्यार करते हैं, और कहीं भी धरती होगी उसका भी एक सूरज होगा, प्यार उसी से करती है. बहते बहते जाए वहां हम, आज जहां हो वहां न कल, सूरज की आग में नहाएंगे हम, समुद्रों में घर बनाएंगे हम. ना आज सूरज की आग में लोग नहा रहे हैं और समुद्रों में घर उसके बाद बनने शुरू हो गए. 2000 में गाना रिकॉर्ड हुआ था, अभी 4-5 साल पहले समुद्रों के नीचे घर बनने लग गए. ये गाना उस वक्त रिकॉर्ड हुआ था 2000 में. और कहीं भी धरती होगी उसका भी एक सूरज होगा, प्यार उसी से करती होगी. The universal love. Humans have to understand.
How have you been able to understand that and adopt that philosophy in your life and work?
I have not been able to understand. Let me tell you very frankly, I always believe in one point, to be honest. Everything you receive is from the cosmos. All your hard disk on top, we keep them close. With unnecessary things, they're always loaded, which is not necessary. So your hard disks are full. And the message that the universe wants to give you does not get into your hard disk. Keep your hard disks open. Do not keep unnecessary things in your mind. Let the thoughts come to you from the cosmos. And you realize the thoughts coming from cosmos would show you a way for better tomorrow.
Do you have a process that allows you to be open-minded, or, let the words come to you, let the thoughts come to you? Do you do something to get into that state of mind?
I'll tell you one thing. There's a dialogue in my film, Bhagmati. This cosmos is library of thoughts and action. जो बीते हुए कल को खोजता है उसे आने वाले कल का आभास हो जाता है. When you discover the energy of past, आपको आने वाले कल का आभास हो जाएगा. What happens is that what we do is we overload our mind with unnecessary things in journey of our life, which are not required. So you block yourself. And such a cosmic culture all around you, you deprive yourself from the beautiful thoughts coming from there.
Yeah.
एक छोटी सी बात से आपसे कहूँगा कृष्णा, कभी कभी आप शाम को बाहर जाना, या कभी भी शाम को या सुबह, कभी भी अर्ली मॉर्निंग, look towards the sky for a second. You realize that it's full of lots of thoughts and energy, which perhaps that was my thought of Bhagmati, the Queen of Fortunes.
And you said that, even though it did go to the Cannes Festival, and it was, it was like a pioneering movie in the industry, but you also said that it wasn't as successful as your other movies.
Yes.
And so I would just like to know, besides the outside validation, what does success mean to you? When do you feel like, oh, I've done?
I am the most successful person with the making of the Bhagmati. I gave 7 years of mine for making of Bhagmati. Let me tell you what.
Trained
7 years.
More than 100 people.
Yes, over 300 people.
Yeah.
We had also got some people from Russia to give them good kind of, this kind of thing. Secondly, I'll tell you one point in this very clearly. This is something which I like to conclude with. One is that there was no animation and VFX culture in this country that time. This film laid the foundation of that culture. Today, there are almost 25,000 boys and girls in this field. Earlier, nobody thought that India would be the destination for VFX and animation. Today, Hollywood is sending their products here to do the VFX in India. All those boys who worked with me are top today. And see, it laid a foundation for something for tomorrow. It may not, success doesn't mean getting revenue from the box office.
I wish more people in the
Success
industry
means
thought
what
that way.
foundations have you laid for tomorrow? That's what success is. Freedom of this country. There are people, sacrifice their life for the freedom of this country. They laid a foundation of this freedom of the country. Today we are a free country.
Absolutely.
They sacrificed their lives. They laid a foundation. So that's my point. That 7 years of mine, I feel proud. It's not that I may not have got recognized and no, these things, that is immaterial. When you think in terms of material gains for your product, it does not lay foundation for something big.
So what do you think of the film industry today, especially Bollywood?
Well, it's a very nice culture. I cannot comment. Everybody has his own creative journey. There are brilliant directors. There are brilliant filmmakers. India has got so much of talent in terms of filmmaking.
Absolutely.
There's no doubt about it. All aspects.
And what do you think that the film industry today is laying a foundation for?
Well, Krishna, I would not like to comment on that. Reason being, every individual has his own journey.
Mm-hmm.
There are great filmmakers who laid a great foundation. Raj Kapoor,
Yeah.
Guru Dutt. See his film Pyasa. ये दुनिया अगर मिल भी जाए तो क्या है? That's it.
Yeah.
From Pyasa. So the point is, at each and every stage, journey of in each field, there come people who lay foundations and they say bye.
Yeah.
You take forward. So I cannot. There are great filmmakers here. They have their own journey of creative journey of a life. So I won't like to comment. You're talking to me. I would tell you what has been my journey, which I don't know myself. What was my journey? I just followed something which I think, which I was being led to something which was a known energy.
And you're writing an autobiography now.
I'm penning down my journey. Yes. In fact, let me tell you, we were five of us, five officers. We visited the same place last year, Uri, where we fought the war. We climbed the same post, and we were welcomed by the present troops there. We felt again the same kind of energy than going on that 11,800 feet, maybe more.
Wow.
So my point is that in the journey of life, I realized, let me be very frank. I said, keep your hard disk clean.
Mm-hmm.
If you keep your hard disk clean, you get a lot of good thoughts. You get thoughts to give you a direction. Everything cannot be in terms of materialism.
So, I'd love to, as soon as your autobiography gets out, I will be reading it. But if you could just tell me a little bit about what your autobiography is going to be structured around, that would be a real treat.
I agree with you. It's a very pertinent question what you're asking me. Let me tell you Krishna, very frankly. पानी बहता है ना, वो टच करता है हर जगहों पे पत्थरों से जाके फिर सागर में मिलता है. Let it flow. Ultimately, it has to go into the sea, the vast ocean. So thoughts have to flow. It will touch all the places from the start to the end. Let it flow. I don't want to make it myself what it is. I want it to flow. My journey in terms of words has to flow. And I'll put down in my so-called book, whatever it may be. I'm trying to do that. So that's what it is.
Feel like they don't make people like you anymore.
It's a very, of course, very kind of you to give that expression of our conversation, I feel
It's
humbled
true.
by your...
I think your generation truly romantic in with life, with the world they live in, with everything, their outlook. And I think it's very inspiring. And I'm very sure that there are people out there who would love a word of advice from you as a writer, as just someone who's passionate about life.
I'll give you a line which I wrote about a couple of years back, which will culminate everything. Jeevan hai सीमित. In fact, I have tweeted this also long time back. जीवन है सीमित और हम सीमाओं में बन जाते हैं. जीवन है सीमित और हम सीमाओं में बन जाते हैं. असीमित हो जाओ, सब अपने हो जाते हैं. The day humans realize this, the humans will discover themselves on the planet Earth that day. We have not still discovered ourselves on the planet Earth.
We're trying.
Still trying.
We're trying, yeah.
That's what I feel.
That sentiment and those words were extremely thought-provoking. And I have to ask, this sense of this longing for limitlessness, going beyond defined parameters, how much of that sentiment, is influenced by your upbringing in Kashmir?
Very pertinent question. I am a Kashmiri, will always remain a Kashmiri. Kashmir is land of my forefathers. I love Kashmir. I love people of Kashmir. Let me tell you one thing. I don't want to go into that kind of area. There has been, for centuries, a lot of things that have happened in Kashmir. And a lot of things happened in 90s and all those kind of things. Painful. Leave aside that. Kashmir is a land of great spirituality. It's full of spirituality. It's a land of Sufism and spirituality both. Shaivism and Sufism. People of Kashmir basically are good people. Now, again I stress on one point. जब कभी सैलाब आता ना, लोगों के समझ नहीं आता कि किस ओर जाएं. That painful incidents that have happened in the past, yes, it's a true story. But that has not taken away the beautiful spiritual environment of Kashmir, which is still there. I am get connected still with my Kashmir. That's land of my forefathers. And I cannot ever disconnect myself from the Kashmir and the people of Kashmir. We have to generate positivity there. We have to tell people what really Kashmir is. Kashmir is not a land of violence. ये भक्तों की जगह है. ये सूफियों की जगह है. We have to create that environment. I remember when we were shooting we did some portion of shooting of Ram Teri Ganga Valley there during the autumn in one of the songs. And that time Raju Karmakar was the cameraman and he was putting the camera and all that. Raj Saab told him, Raju Saab, आप कहीं भी कैमरा लगा दीजिए, आपको खूबसूरती नजर आएगी. कैमरे के एंगल की जरूरत नहीं है, किसी भी एंगल पे लगा दीजिए, वहां पर खूबसूरती नजर आएगी. It's a land of blessed land. Unfortunately, उस लैंड में इतना हुआ कि आज भी हमें दिलों में पेन है. A lot of people are going through that pain. But let me tell you, that pain has to be converted into positivity. Cutting across all the things, we have to, as an Indian, that land is full of spirituality and that land is full of beauty.
And how have you been able to turn that pain into positivity for yourself?
Let me tell you one thing. Pain has been there. There's no question of it. Everybody has gone through pain, whether he's from one section of religion or other section. All have gone through pain. It's not only one. Everybody has gone through pain. But would you like to keep that pain always in your heart and mind? No. At one point of time, one has to discover happiness, and one has to unleash that happiness from the land of our great forefathers. And that will happen when we start thinking in terms of positivity. People may be from any background, any caste, creed and color and culture and religion. That's immaterial. It is the vibrations of land which are more important. When as a tourist one goes there from all across the world, from India, what they go there for? They find a beautiful land. That on Kashmir I can talk a lot because I have tracked many locations there while in the army, and after that I had the honor of climbing Harmukh, which is the most difficult peak. I mean, there's a lot of narration in that. I have a lot of time for that. I'm sure you don't have time, that kind of thing. But that's what one has to discover. That's what one has to convey to everybody. But look here, friends, how much now discover the beauty of Kashmir in terms of positivity. Youth have to be motivated. Youth have to be told that the ultimate thing is to discover the happiness and take the strength of Kashmir in your mind and heart, the beauty, the spirituality. I'm sure once everybody thinks positive, that positivity will generate from the beautiful land there. And that will be a beautiful tomorrow for everybody.
Do you think that we are on that path as a country?
What do you say?
Do you think we're on the path of positivity as a country?
Yes, we have to be. I would say yes, I would say yes, I would say yes, because I would not say no. Because my no will lay a foundation for no. My yes hopefully will lay a foundation for positivity.
I like that sentiment a lot.
That's all. I mean,
thank you very much for sharing.
Thank you very much, Krishna. It's a pleasure.
The pleasure has been ours entirely. Thank you for being your charismatic, charming self.
The reflection of all thoughts came from Krishna itself. Thank you very much for inviting me. God bless you.